And what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the My Crypto Journey live stream. And today we have the pleasure of having Dan Dasilva, owner of the Hidden Jet Network and the Dan Dasilva Experiment. So you have two YouTube channels.
I do. Yeah, I do. Yep. So it's
Awesome,
interesting
man.
how that came about. I actually took a year
Yeah.
off from the main channel that I have. That main
Okay.
channel was growing at such a rapid pace at one point, and like YouTube went ahead and did the whole verification of it, all of that, and then I just decided to pull the plug. I actually pulled the plug on that channel, and it was just one day I woke up and I was just like, you know what? I just want to take a year off, like an entire year off.
Wow.
And
Okay.
And just get some stuff right. And that's what I did. And then I was like, you know what, rather than, because I already know how all of social media like works, is that once you go ghost on all these platforms and whatnot, they shadow ban you. They're like, okay, you don't want to participate, we're not going to show your stuff to your audience anymore. So I already knew that it was an uphill battle going back to the old account rather than working on the new account. So I was like, you know what, I just want to focus on Hidden Gem Network, and I don't want an overlap of audience that was used to seeing one thing in the past. So I'm just going to try a completely different account. Now that I'm all into crypto, I stopped all my other businesses. I just went full into crypto. So I was like, you know what? If they find me, okay. But at this point, I just want to do what I enjoy without being criticized of everybody else, who be criticized by everybody else who used to follow me. So that's why I have two channels. So it's interesting.
That's awesome. And it's true that YouTube they will push you down in the algorithm if you stop making content. That's why consistency is so important. And another thing is, like, one of the main rules is, like, if you have a YouTube channel, don't make different content, because the person who comes to your video wants to see that content. Okay, so what was your other channel about? So obviously we know what the Hidden Gem Network is, but when I looked up your name, I was actually surprised to see another YouTube channel. So what was that one actually about?
Yeah, so I was the first YouTuber ever to start creating content around dropshipping. So I literally was the pioneer of dropshipping content, and that's why I said I grew so rapidly, was because back in like 2017, 2018 or so, or even
must
earlier.
Have been killing it.
So yeah. So all all the videos were just going crazy. So I kind of paved the way for the dropshipping content. And that's why so many people in the marketing world know me, is because of the dropshipping content. So that's what it was about. And then I ended up pivoting once, I talked to Beheza, friends with Graham Stephan, like all those guys in the very beginning as everyone's progressing. So I was in Vegas with Graham once. This is when Graham had like 30,000 subs, right? I was in Vegas with Graham, and he told me what he was going to be doing with his channel, and it was just a lot more like generic videos that are oriented towards personal personal finance. And then I was like, interesting. So at this time, I don't know if you know who he is, but Tanner J. Fox. I pretty much heard of him. I pretty much had Tanner J. Fox's account. We were both simultaneously working together on projects, and Tanner was huge at this time. And so, the whole thing that I wanted to do with my main channel was pivot to very generic case study based content rather than teaching based content. Because the whole premise of my old channel was I would almost do a video every other day. And so it would be a lot of teaching, like what I'm doing with ads, finding products, and the content became repetitive. And so I just was like, all right, this isn't going to work. Then I ended up taking like 4 or 5 months off at one point, and then coming back and creating content that was geared all around case studies. And that's when I had, one of my older videos really blow up. It was about I was using like a Forex automation bot, right? Just to use a case study. That's it. It was just a case study. And I had Beheza create the intro for that video. And that popped off like really, really well. But then it just came to a point where I was like, man, I don't enjoy this. Like I thoroughly don't enjoy creating this type of content anymore. My heart wasn't in it. I was just like, I was just like, this is not like fun to me. But at that point as well, I was already, diving into crypto. And that's where I was like, man, I really like this. So I put all my time into just, everything crypto rather than focusing on e-com anymore, or these case studies. And, I have right now, still till this day, I have like this like FOMO. I feel like I missed out. I just saw everybody else around me just explode. I was like, when they exploded is the same exact time I stopped creating content. So just like,
Wow.
I just have this FOMO. I'm just like, man. So it is what it is.
Your hidden gem network is blowing up itself because you didn't start it that long ago. So it's getting some. Every time I check, I feel like you have like thousands more subscribers. So you're blowing up in the crypto world, which is, I think, honestly, the writing's on the walls with crypto. Everything goes up from here, especially the positive meetings we've had with people in Congress, right? We're having really good positive meetings. So I think that where you're at right now is probably perfect.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, here's the thing, what I really enjoy about creating content in this space is that the content is there's an endless stream. There's either, and here's what I learned recently, man, is that I never understood like drama channels, right? How they were always gaining so much popularity until Sifu did his thing at Wonderland, and I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. So I'm trying to stay away from that. So like the last video I put out was just about, Phantom staking, like different opportunities staking Phantom across different, like yield optimizers. And that video just tanked, not tanked, but didn't perform relatively good to the news stuff and like the drama that people want to see. I'm like, I'm not leaning into that. Because that's the stuff that's the reason why I leaned away from YouTube in the first place, is I don't want to create content that isn't like fun and stuff that I enjoy doing, because nobody wants to bring so much negativity around. Hey, my all my capital might have been robbed, right? Or my capital was robbed underneath me from some criminal that was known a month prior. I'm just like, it's just one of those situations. But there's a forever ending slew of opportunity to just report in the space, and it's all about timing, is what I've realized. Is any piece of content you release is all about timing. So the craziest thing is that I realized before I came back onto YouTube with Hidden Gem, I picked up on the massive growth potential of content in the crypto space based off of TikTok. I created 10 random TikTok accounts, all talking about crypto, right? 5 of them went uber viral, like in under a month. And in totality, I ended up getting across those 5. So there was, I think, 7 or 8 accounts. 5 of them just went crazy. It was like Crypto Crime Stopper, Dan Does Crypto, There Goes Albie. And it was just all geared towards crypto. That's it. And in totality, across all 5 of those TikTok accounts, in about a month, there was close to, I think, like 30 million views or so, like 20 something million views. So I was like, interesting. So then I took it to YouTube, where again, the videos were longer form, and the audience is a lot less childish. So I was like, okay, this is what I enjoy a little bit better. So I took a step back from TikTok and just started focusing on YouTube and kind of like Twitter and whatnot.
Speaking of TikTok, one of the original people on my channel, Alonso, one of the original degenerates, is a huge fan of your channel. And I was familiar with the channel, but he really likes your channel. And he told me to reach out to you because you cover a part of DeFi that we touch on here and there, but not too much, right? We're more focused on smaller cap community shitcoins, to be honest, right? Yep. And I like to dabble in some other things, but mostly the content I cover is around the news when it comes to some of these tokens, right? So shout out to Alonzo out there for putting me on really to your content and to getting you on the show, because he's been here since day one. Big that side of DeFi guy. Now, speaking of covering the drama in the news, I actually find that very interesting because crypto is in its infancy right now, and it's so easy for any Joe Schmuck to come and say, hey, this coin gonna cure cancer next week. You better get in right now. You know what I mean? And then all the while the marketing wallets, 20% or some crazy shit like that, and they're off next week. So to me, the whole story is very, very interesting when it comes to this side of DeFi, which is smaller cap community shitcoins that, have a $10 million market cap after an hour in existence, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, here's the thing. So I started off dabbling in the concept that I first created was dabbling in shitcoins, but it was more so the CoffeeZilla approach.
Okay.
So and that's another, it's so funny when I say all these names, because I talked to Steven before when he was at like 14,000 subscribers trying to broker some peace treaty between him and Kevin. And so
what was the beef between him and Meet Kevin?
No, not Kevin, not Meet Kevin, Kevin David.
Oh.
So
okay.
So so I've always been watching Steven grow, and again, it's very drama driven. So I took like the drama, stereotype, if you will, of content, and when I brought it over to TikTok, I decided, hey, let's not talk about like legitimate projects. Let's talk about the scam projects. So before Squid Game token was a scam, I'm not even kidding. I was the first video on TikTok talking about Squid Game, calling it out as a scam. And it was used on a bunch of other outlets. It was about a week and a half, 2 weeks before it rugged. And it was just, and once it rugged, everybody came back and started using all my content, tagging me in it. And I was just like, and here's the thing, the craziest part was, I didn't need to do much research. I just went to CoinMarketCap, looked up squid, and it literally told you at the top in a red bar that it was a honeypot. And I was like, all right, there's my content. So it didn't take me like hours to find this out. It was literally CoinMarketCap themselves that said people are reporting that they can invest but can't withdraw money. So I went to BSC, I went to PancakeSwap, I got my BNB. I tried to sell, didn't work, confirmed it, and I was like, there's my content. So I was just like, let's do that. But the shitcoin world is very interesting because, like I said in the very beginning, back in the beginning of last year, you remember where there was just shitcoin season, like anything, everything and anything was blowing up. I had a few friends that took like 10K, turned it into like 600,000 in a few weeks. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll dabble in shitcoins, and lo and behold, I made a lot of money off of shitcoins. And all I would do is just go on crypto moonshots, go to like the new posts, and just keep refreshing. And every second there was something new.
I have new pairs.
So So I would just kind of sit there. I would absolutely care nothing about the roadmap. I wouldn't care anything about I wouldn't care about anything that they were doing. All because I knew if you're on crypto moonshot, 95% chance you're scamming. So my whole philosophy was, how can I get out with profit before I get scammed? So I started noticing that there was about a 25-minute to 45-minute buffer period after they'd renounce ownership. They would lock up some liquidity in DX in DEX sale, and then I was like, okay, so there's this little time period that I have an opportunity to get out. Now, here's the thing about this is that it worked. I would say it worked 60% of the time, but I obviously winning 60% and losing 40, you're gonna do really well if you keep going in with the same amount. Now, the thing is that I came to this horrific realization after sitting there for a few days. I realized that it was legitimately stealing other people's money, because you're essentially going in and taking people that don't know like how any of this works. They just hear about a good idea and they're like, oh, how do I invest into something, right? Like, how do I invest into the shitcoin to hopefully to become the next Shiba Inu or the next Doge? And those projects really prey on the naivety, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah.
So they prey on the fact that these individuals are naive enough to not understand anything about the space. So I was like, all right, like I made my money. Let's go invest into some NFTs now. So that's kind of like how that movement went. But I just stopped completely like caring about the shitcoin world and started looking more so into a bunch of these up and coming DeFi projects, NFT projects, and just really ingrained myself into DeFi, because that's where, in my opinion, everything is going to really explode over time.
I agree. And when you go back to, just pretty much pump and dumping on new tokens, right? one of the big things we see in this space, which is absolutely insane, it's like a positive feedback loop, because there will be a shitcoin that'll come into the market and for some reason it'll get some sort of traction, right? And then you have YouTubers who hype them up and those sorts of things. They don't disclose that they're paid.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of these people coming into these tokens are getting wrecked when this token really has no use case. It's all like potential. Oh, we're going to be doing something in the future. And so, you know, the content I like to do is I like to expose that side and say, hey, yeah, it's okay to get in this token and make some money, but always take your profits. And at the end of the day, look at the fucking use case. Look at the roadmap. What is this thing going to do that's special? Oh, NFT, play to earn, swap eventually. Next year, I don't know, maybe, you know, so there's so many people. Yeah, exactly. There's so many people preying on the fresh people in the space. And what I've, you know, because I've been in the crypto for a while, but not really into it like I am now. And so I'm learning so much every day. And speaking of what you're into, I like the side of DeFi that you're into, because I think that solutions to the blockchain, right? Solutions to Ethereum and just the way it is right now, especially since a lot of us are into shitcoins on the Ethereum blockchain and how ridiculous everything is when it comes to transaction speed, when it comes to prices and those sorts of things. I think that it's definitely the future. Can you explain a little bit about what exactly you like to cover on your channel?
Yeah, so I like to cover a lot of different DeFi protocols that are out there. Recently, so DeFi works in just pretty much how anything in traditional like marketing works, basically. Like whenever I used to market anything, things would work in a cycle, right? It would always come back around. So it went from DeFi 1.0, which was yield aggregators. You know, we're looking at like Beefy, Yearn, Pancake Bunny, Swampy. Those, you know, those where you would get really low yields for farming in liquidity pools. Then we saw DeFi 2.0, where we get unrealistic APYs, and we're talking like DAOs and a bunch of other different protocols. But DAOs is what really took off from DeFi 2.0. And the APY, you know, nobody really understands this, but APY is a marketing tactic. APR is what you need to look at. So you know, again, the entire cycle just keeps on going. And so especially on Ethereum, if you go and look on DeFi Llama, right, you said something really important. If you go look at DeFi Llama, you go to not the overview, but you go to chains, you'll actually see from 2020 up until now, if you keep scrolling on the chart on the right-hand side, you'll see Ethereum was at 95% or so, 95%. So you see that green chart all the way at the top over there? If you start scrolling from the very beginning, Ethereum was at like 90%, and look where it is now. It's at sub 60. And and so, you know, long story short is that I've made a ton of money in DeFi playing off of chain dominance. And that's where, and first off, it's chain dominance plus what's working now. So for example, a DAO on Terra is going to Moon. It's just figuring out where the narrative, what people are talking about that DAO, right? Or whatever the protocol in question is at that point on that chain. So again, Wonderland took off because it was a DAO on Avalanche. It wasn't a DAO on BSC. It wasn't Olympus, which was already on which was already on Ethereum. It was a DAO on Avalanche, which people needed to learn how to get onto, needed to learn how to use Avalanche, link up AVAX to their MetaMask, get AVAX on C chain, like all of that, right? So, you know, one of the biggest reasons why now, if we see something like Terra, right? So Terra is it's Anchor Protocol that owns. If you look at Terra on that list, it says Protocol 17, but it's still number 2, right? So right under Ethereum. So the reason being is because the TVL that's locked right now is all on Anchor Protocol, which is close to $11 billion if I recall. So. But here's the thing. You could see that BSC on that list has 297, but it's number 3. So this is ranking by TVL. So the total, you know, the total liquidity inside of that particular layer. Terra has nothing on it yet. 17 compared to Ethereum's 514 and BSC's 297. And then we see Avalanche with 155 as well. And then we see Phantom at 149.
That's crazy. Okay.
There's nothing on Terra yet. So what the heck is bringing up Terra? It's Anchor Protocol. Anchor is single-handedly around 10.5, 11 billion out of the 13.49 billion that you see on here. So that right there tells me that Terra has such a massive, massive move that's going to be upcoming in the DeFi space because the Anchor provides liquidity to those DeFi protocols. So just like on Avalanche, you have Tomb Finance that is a seigniorage that also helps provide liquidity to all these different protocols, and they have 1.1 billion locked up in value. So now that Terra has liquidity there and people understand how to use Terra, there's going to be a lot more protocols that start popping up on Terra. So what I'm looking for is what they are. Like, I'm taking a look at Twitter. I'm taking a look at all the, the content that Terra YouTubers are creating. I'm trying to snipe where the hype is going to be and what is, because DAOs have a very negative connotation right now because of what happened to Wonderland and the collapse of Ohm and all those. So what's next on Terra? What do you say?
Yeah. All the leverage that people are taking out to get into these DAOs. So you could say the same thing about maybe Avalanche, maybe 2 months ago when maybe they had just a few protocols, but Wonderland was one of them, and so they took a lot of that dominance up just because I mean, look at Wonderland where it is today compared to where it was before. So similar, right?
Exactly. Yep. And just like my big bet right now is on Phantom. Just because the narrative is around Phantom. So there's two narratives at play here. There's retail, and then there's ingrained crypto enthusiasts, right? The retail is in and out. So not really in and out, but more so extremely driven towards
money,
false narrative, if you will. So and the reason I say that is because everybody's talking about Terra right now, but the sleeper is Phantom. So these particular protocols that are being built on Phantom are more groundbreaking than the ones that are currently on Terra. Now, the other way that I kind of gauge this is by who is building these protocols. What particular individuals or teams that have proven in the past what chain are they building on? Because they're not, these individuals aren't stupid. So they're very, very smart. People like Andre Cronje, right, who created Yearn Finance. He's building on Phantom. He actually has a Phantom NFT marketplace that nobody knows about. So, one of the things that you have to consider is that if individuals and teams that are very notable and reputable are building out on the Phantom network for DeFi, and they're not focusing on Terra, BSC, Avalanche, Phantom's going to inherently explode. So just because that's where all these forward thinkers are currently going and building on, which is going to just cause a massive, massive kind of like cascading effect of other individuals building on that network, because all that money just it's like a domino effect. So once one protocol is built and it's going and working, other people are gonna be like, oh my goodness, there's money on there, and they start building, and it just becomes a domino effect. So that's Andre Cronje.
Okay,
and he's the builder of Yearn Finance, and Yearn is probably in my opinion, the best protocol, best yield farm that you can participate in. And the craziest thing is I don't know if you've ever seen the YFI token. It's on like Coinbase. It's on some really big exchanges, and it topped out at around 86K the last mega bull run that we had. And 86K per token, and they're essentially governance tokens. But the entire, what I really like about Andre is Andre said he built this platform and said, all right, guys, it's yours. Like, you guys as a community can determine where this protocol goes. So that was really interesting to see, because so to understand why that's interesting, you have to understand what Yearn really does. Yearn, traditional yield farming and yield, kind of like participating in yield aggregators, you would have to stake and unstake and then go to a different protocol if they had a better APY. And then if protocol, we have protocol A offering 10% and then protocol B offering 12%, you would want 12% rather than 10% if you could stake the same thing. So you would unstake and then go to protocol B. But if protocol C is at 15%, you're going to unstake protocol B and go to C. So you're constantly staking and unstaking. And in the yield aggregator space, there's fees for withdrawing and depositing into vaults. So every single time you withdraw and deposit, you get hit with the fee. So you don't really necessarily have that magic of compounding happening either. So the other flip side of this, or I guess the negative downside, is that when you withdraw on something like Yearn, where it was first built on, which was Ethereum, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to be like in the know, or understand that the gas fees are going to eat you alive. So if you don't have enough money in the optimizer to actually, kind of make a conscious decision to say, hey, I'm going to withdraw even at a profit, doesn't matter, to move my money. If you don't have that ability, then you're kind of like, you're kind of screwed essentially. You're gonna have to leave your money in there until you have enough to cover the gas fee and the 0.5% of a withdrawal fee. However, what Yearn does is that you put your money into one vault, and Yearn optimizes going to each protocol individually. So they'll go to protocol C if protocol C is paying out, but you just deposit one time and they'll do your allocation of money to who's paying the highest. So
it's like that. That's like an index fund, like on
exactly.
something that just kind of yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So on stables and whatnot. So exactly. So same exact thought process where you don't have to keep staking and unstaking. It just moves your money around for you on who's paying the highest.
Oh my God. And any other fucking network. So I like the Olympus DAO. Now it's looking like shit. Okay. Yeah. I've been able to DCA to where I'm pretty much average on the price right now. I know the protocol is designed to go to $1, but I'm hoping that in this next bull run, we'll get some kind of positive price action. But what I've liked is the ability just to, first of all, you can buy it on other networks now, but the ability to just buy straight governance because of the fact that you have to stake and unstake and do the transaction and all on the Ethereum blockchain, and you're spending maybe a couple $100 each time you do that process, depending on what time of day. So that's awesome, that the fact that you can do those sorts of things. I'm not really into that yet. I know quite a bit about it. I actually watch DeFi Magic and your channel, so I watch you two guys about on it, and then Alonso's into it. But so the whole yield farming and those sorts of things. So apparently, you put your money in a liquidity pool that's used for people doing transactions, and you get a certain amount of that transaction. Correct?
Correct. Now it varies from where the yield comes from. For example, you can participate in a vault, so an LP basically, where the protocol owner can actually move your funds, let's just say, into a derivatives platform that needs liquidity. Okay. In exchange, the derivatives platform will give that pool a percentage of the fees that are generated through the liquidations or the open trades. So, because if you participate in like futures, you have to pay the funding, right? So, that funding fee, if a particular protocol, let's just theoretically say FTX needed 500 million in liquidity immediately, they have one of two options. They can contact Tether directly, and Tether just becomes like the Fed, where they just print money on command. And then sends it to the protocol. Exactly. The whole meme of pound printing money. Or they have somebody who can provide from that liquidity pool, and in exchange they get a fee. So they get a percentage of those fees, and then it's split amongst the people that are participating in those pools. But again, there's so many different ways that an actual like Yearn can allocate those funds. And a lot of times it's done through AMMs. So, automated market makers like Uniswap and PancakeSwap, et cetera. But a lot of the times it's all determined by like an oracle, or not all the time. It's 100% determined by an oracle, what's paying at the highest APY, and then allocating that particular fund or whatever is available in that pool at the time to that particular, whatever it is, whoever needs the money basically, or whoever the highest protocol is paying right now.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so question about rebasing DAO. So of course, Ohm was like the old boring guy, and then we had fucking Jake coming out with, all right, baby, 1 billion APY, send it. But what people don't understand is, like, if the price is fucking tanking, it doesn't matter what the damn APY is. I mean, over time maybe, but if the price continues to tank, then it doesn't matter. What is your outlook on rebasing DAOs? Because I got into Time Wonderland for a little bit. I got into Olympus DAO. I have like almost 60 Ohm, and then I'm still in Jade, but I bought them at a really cheap price. What is your? I know Jade is looking a little suspicious. Their track record doesn't look too good. What is your opinion on all three of those DAOs?
So, okay, I have in the very beginning when I created Jade videos, I told people that this is most likely a scam. Now I have to dance around the whole I think this is a scam before people come at me with, pitchforks in hand, ready to roast me over the coals and stone me in the town square. So, so the whole thing is that the biggest red flag for me where I knew this was gonna be a shitstorm was when Jade said, because there was a glitch, we put it to 1,000,000,000% APY. Just so everybody knows who's watching this, you can't just flip on a switch and change the APY. That's not how it works. APY isn't determined by a protocol owner. APY is determined by oracles. We're talking stuff like Chainlink, Charlie 3. And if you just look up Wonderland Chainlink Oracle, it'll show you which oracle they actually went with. But APYs aren't determined in a way where Jade could have just flipped on a switch and been like, okay, this is the new APY, congratulations. Like that's how I knew in the back of my head. I was like, oh, this is going to, because here's the thing, if they could do it, let's just say they were allowed to do it. The macroeconomics that come into that are far beyond greater than I think anybody is able to program without being some sort of artificial intelligence that can handle all these numbers. Like, they had a quintillion% APY. And to calculate how many users are currently there participating versus the rebases versus how many projected new participants are coming in on top of where that current APY was in the quintillion%, it's physically impossible to calculate that at the current time and long term. Like where, the total rebases and where they're going to be, because you have to project how many people are going to come into the protocol at the time of the quintillion%, which would offset everybody else's because of the simple thing of inflation. So if you project that 2,000 new participants are going to come in because the APY is at a quintillion%, and then it actually becomes 3,000 people, then your numbers are completely off. You have to, you kind of have to remove APY. There needs to be negative APY to offset the 1,000 extra people that you didn't estimate. So essentially crashing the entire price to absolutely freaking nothing, to like literally nothing because of inflation. Those 1,000 extra people at a quintillion% is I mean, it is so unsustainable. So that's my thought on Jade. I participated in Jade. I haven't even watched it anymore. It's a train wreck.
It is. Well, I mean, we have some staked, but I'm pretty much on at the $25 range on all my Jade. So we'll see what happens. Rolling the dice, baby. But here's the thing.
What I found really interesting is that they're now switching over to become almost like a venture capital hedge fund type of thing. I saw this the other day, like 2-3 days ago. I think it's Jade, right? Let me just cross-reference that before I misspeak.
Yeah.
But they have their Jade fund, if I recall.
You can share your screen too. You can share your screen if you Hang
on, do that. Let me see here. Where is this? Share screen. Okay, share screen. Cool. Let me know if you can you see that?
Yeah, let me I think you're sharing another screen. So you're sharing.
Oh, okay, cool.
Perfect.
All right. So Jade right over here. Let me see if this is correct. Fund report. Yeah, there we go. Their fund report. So, because I glanced over this and then I laughed.
When they say they're on a warpath of some shit, like $1,000.
Oh, okay, so this is their NFT that they're releasing as well. But they have their fund that they have. Let's see.
Yeah, I try to look on the internet for like quality Jade content, but it's either people who are just hyping it, or there's people like I watched Awaken with the JP guy, but I feel like he's kind of like their liaison, so he's kind of not going to say what he feels about it, which is
I'm trying to go into their generic I'm doxing myself. I could have sworn that we've made our first venture investment into Degens. Oh, okay, so it is right here.
Okay.
Okay. So they're investing into they're investing into, it was right here. So we're excited to announce our first seed investment from JDAO and Dex Pools, peer-to-peer OTC trading, NFT swapping, lending, borrowing into a single multi-chain platform. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly not like poke fun at Dex Pools and not poke fun at Jade, but I found it really, really interesting what just happened to hang on, let me actually pull up the exact name of it. There was a massive hack that just happened like last night.
It was on
Wormhole.
Yeah, Wormhole. Yep.
Wormhole.
Like 80 something ETH or 800.
It was 120,000 wrapped ETH. So, and what does it do? It bridges like NFTs and whatnot.
Oh wow.
And what do you know? NFT swapping, etc., bridging. I just found that really funny, which was, their first investment was to something like Wormhole, that hasn't fared too well. But again, I can't compare, an apple to an orange here. That wouldn't be fair.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I just found it really interesting, the route that they're going down with using community funds into investing into this different protocols. But let's give kind of the benefit of the doubt. They are a DAO, so I mean that's what they're kind of supposed to do, is kind of allocate the funds where their participants want it to be allocated. Very important that I say where their participants want it to be allocated. Because if they're just making these investments on their own, which again I haven't read into, that doesn't really make it a DAO at that point. That just makes it a publicly available information board of what they're doing with other people's money. So just kind of like a traditional hedge fund, if you will, where they need to report to the SEC every quarter, and then we can all see these where the funds are allocated. In this case, this is just in real time.
Wow, crazy. Man, yeah, Jade is shaky, and they're whoever runs their Twitter or just their leadership are straight degenerates, which I kind of like. It seems a little more authentic, but at the same time, like, makes you wonder a little bit, right? The way they talk to the community and whatnot. I like that. It's kind of personable, but definitely weird. So Time Wonderland. Now we know about their CFO doing something, having a very suspicious past. I dug all into it. It's pretty suspicious. But then there's the Dan guy. So what do you think about the situation? Because one of the subscribers asked, Racket Club says, Rodney, if you get a chance, ask Dan about Daniel from Time Wonderland. I guess he has a new upcoming project. What do you think about the whole situation and that project? Yeah,
so V33 is Rock Solid Swap. That's actually partnering with Andre Cronje. Now, the partnership was announced before the entire scandal. So Andre has also made his has made his opinions not so clear, but like shade wasn't thrown. It was just him saying, "Hey, listen, let me pull it up rather than trying to take a guess at what he's saying here." So I'll share my screen in a second. Let me just make sure I can pull up the right thing and it's still here. There was a post about the entire situation that's happening at hand here, and it's very deep down in this tweet. I just want to get it right.
No worries, man.
Okay. Here, let me share my screen again. I got it. Share screen. Okay. So right over here, I still support Danny. So Daniele Sesta, still planning on working with him, but there's lines. A history of consistent fraud, theft, and malicious behavior isn't a mistake. That's intent. Having seafood managed funds, especially users' funds, can be argued as negligence. That's all I have. So this was like the official statement from Cronje. And here's the thing: is that we're at a cross reference or at a crossroad where Andre Cronje is like the godfather of DeFi, and Sesta is supposed to become the Andre Cronje of DeFi Summer, but now. So Sesta is supposed to become even greater than and that's the narrative. It's supposed to become greater than Cronje. However, Andre was just like, knowing about this entire thing for a month and you not doing anything is negligence, which it is. It 1,000,000,000% is. Listen, you can't give it'd be crazy if this guy murdered somebody and came out 20 years later and studied, macroeconomics, economics, and now knows exactly what he's doing. But the craziest damn part about this story was that he got arrested and hit with charges for fraud. Like, out of everything you could have gotten hit for, it was fraud. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. 3 times. Like that, there's nothing you can say to really back up that guy, to back up Sifu. So, my opinion of Sesta, we've had like Twitter back and forths, him and I.
Okay.
And I still do believe that even though it's so hard to defend somebody who knew about, this, I want to, but I can't. Like, I simply can't overlook the fact that he knew. But what I also can't overlook is that the man is smart. Like, he's not stupid. I would put him on the same level as Andre Cronje. Andre is not going to agree to work with somebody who's like nowhere near his thought, line of thinking, thought processes, etc. For somebody like Danny, when he speaks, whether it's through his AMAs, YouTube interviews, I've learned so much from listening to him speak and him talking about V33, which is the new project, or Solid Swap Rock is the ticker that is coming out, isn't coming out. I don't know what the status is. Nobody really does. And listening to him speak, he knows what he's doing. He knows 100% what he's doing. But the way that I look at it, and again, this isn't me defending him or anything else, is that would we want Einstein as our president? Right? Somebody who's that smart, like, belongs in a very special box, his own box.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't want him as a leader. I don't want, if Einstein was around, great. He's a fantastic leader. Do we want Elon Musk as the president? Like, we'll give credit where it's due. Elon's smart, right? But is he necessarily somebody who's able to lead, in this case, an entire country? Just because somebody's super smart doesn't necessarily mean they're a leader. So
absolutely.
So again, that's kind of where I am with Sesta. Is I do believe he's so smart, but just like any type of corporate structure, and in this case, managing $1 billion, we're not talking about 5 million a year, 10. We're talking $1 billion+ dollars. We're getting into the realm of, hey, you're valued more than certain corporations type of thing. So you better have the right structure and right people in the right places to manage that money. So, again, I believe wholeheartedly he's a very smart individual. It's just that he's just not, I don't want to say he's not a leader. He's just not somebody who I would necessarily want making the hard decisions that need to be made with information that's presented to him. Because at that point, emotions got the best of him when it came to finding out who Sifu was and what he did. He overlooked that and wanted to see the best in people, but the writing was on the wall. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
6 times.
Right. And like J. Cole said, fool me 3 times,
Look the peace out. Yeah.
Load it up and make it rain on you. Like, I'll always remember that. Like that's exactly it. So there's just no excuses. So,
if you've ever worked in like a corporation or anything like that, you really understand that. Like, I've worked at one of the biggest retail companies forever doing, pretty serious stuff there. And there are some people that are so good. They're so good, but they do not know how to lead a team. They cannot give criticism. They hate conflict. And those are not the people you want at the head of your business. You need somebody who's kind of cutthroat sometimes. And what I think happened is that, because the worst thing you could do is let somebody else find out about it before you come clean to the public, right? And he knew about it. He's like, oh shit. Well, if I tell everyone right now, it's going to be bad, but I gave this guy a job, or whatever the issue, whatever the conversation was. This guy's here working for me, but if I go to the public, it's going to look bad. But it's almost like if you just go to the public and you do it yourself, like, then the rest of that kind of stuff goes out the window. It's like, well, at least now you're the one who came forward and didn't let people find out about it. So, and I wonder, did he even know did he even know that he had a past like that? He had to know about the Quadriga CX, right? Quadriga CX.
So much that we will never know. And that is one of the questions that will always linger in the back of our minds is how did Sifu even get into the position to become one of the people in question to raise the fund, to manage the funds, become the treasurer? So like that's one of my biggest questions that I don't think will ever be answered is what was the process that led up to that? Like there had to have been some sort of major catalyst where Danny was like, wow, this guy's smart. No idea who this guy is, but man, he's smart. Like
hire him.
Right, exactly. Yeah, him, like right over there. But again, somebody who's managing that much money, there comes a time where you have to think to yourself, maybe it's good even internally that we know who this person is.
Run a background. You know, it's crazy. There's a similar situation going on in the site. I don't know. Have you heard of Saitama?
No.
Okay. See.
Sachima Inu?
Saitama. Yeah. Well, it's called it's not Inu anymore. So their CEO was arrested and charged for fraud, for forgery. The guy they hired as their main spokesperson, Willie D, who's a rapper, got arrested in 2010, I believe, for scamming 35 people on eBay for going to send them iPhones. And now this new guy, they're doing some sort of partnership with this new token. It's supposed to be this token that's supposed to revolutionize the healthcare industry, which is a bunch of bullshit. It's just a pump and dump, but on a larger scale. This guy is involved with some M95 civil suit where they're getting sued because they use those PPP loans fraudulently. That's the accusation, right? So there's all this fraud and stuff around the project. And to me, I'm just like, people, you got to understand crypto is such a space where people that have had fraud in their past could just come in and just make a quick buck sometimes, because it's not regulated. You can pretty much do what you want until I think in about a year, all this stuff will go away. Well, a lot of it will, not all of it, obviously, but a lot of it will start to go away because they're going to start cracking down on people like this. And, real kind of repercussions are going to happen when it comes to people getting arrested and then people getting, fined and sued and those sorts of things. So it's important to look at those sort of things, but that goes out the window with some people.
Right. You know what's crazy that you mentioned the PPP loans? Actually, probably 2 months ago, I thought to myself after, because I just went down this rabbit hole of the Department of Justice on their site looking for people that committed PPP fraud, right? And and I started watching a lot of YouTube videos about that. And everybody, it was the same type of trend. It would be like people buying jewelry and cars and all that. In my head, I was like, man, if I were to commit fraud for like $11 million, saying that I had X amount of employees, I'm putting that right into the market. Even if we put 11 million in and just staked it for like 8%, and then it comes around, comes the time where they go ahead and they start investigating you, be like, oh yeah, here's the money back. Like I think if it's a lot worse that you can't pay the money back than the fact that again, obviously fraud is fraud and I don't never condone it, but if you're going to do it, at least don't blow it on stupid stuff and have the money there because it's a house of cards. Like fraud is a house of cards. It's going to come tumbling down. So, and that's just, that's like the way that I thought of it the other month was like, man, if I was ever in that position, I would just put it into something safe rather than jewelry and all that. It doesn't make sense. So I just find it really weird. Anybody who ever thinks about committing PPP fraud is it's just really stupid. It's just any type of fraud.
Well, there's that famous case of the guy who ran a trucking business.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Yep.
Motherfuckers buying Rolexes and expensive cars and all kinds of shit. And then when they started checking on them, they're like, wait, what? The trucking company hasn't been around for 2 years. So yeah, insane. But I think that people thought that since, that hectic time for the country, right? With the whole Mr. 19, right? That whole, the pandemic going on, IRS or everyone is just swamped. It's hard for them to follow up with a lot of these cases. They're just handing money out, the stimulus, checks, everything. So it's hard for them to follow up, but they will follow up eventually. If you've committed fraud, they're gonna get you when they have the manpower, right? To actually find you. In a big case like this, where you're asking for millions of dollars, well, they're gonna look at those first. So interesting situation. All right, what do you think about the Olympus DAO?
So Olympus DAO, obviously it's the OG, right? So Olympus DAO has, I for one never really participated that heavily in Ohm. Just because the reason being is because of the gas, to be honest with you, is because in order to really be profitable, with Ohm, you would need to sidestep it, and that requires a lot of gas. So that, and that's what was so amazing to me about Wonderland, was that a few pennies that I could sidestep. Now for Ohm, their leadership actually called the situation with Wonderland not being sustainable or something fishy going on. And again, I can't reference the exact tweet, but I remember that there was something where Ohm actually, like I think the founder of Olympus actually said that there was something really fishy going on with Wonderland, and those tweets came back up during this entire scandal. So yeah, I mean, I think that Ohm, a very, very unique idea, very smart idea of what they embarked out to do. I think they got overshadowed because of Wonderland, but I also think that it's smarter to watch what Ohm is doing upcoming rather than what Wonderland is doing, because Wonderland has a lot more wiggle room when it comes down to cross-chain abilities, meaning that it's a lot cheaper for them to be able to do whatever they want to do given with gas, but Ohm has to kind of dance around these gas fees and their participants that are leaving at a wild rate to go to somewhere like Wonderland. And their, like GOHM governance token, there was so much that they did, and it's really interesting to see what bonds that they keep coming out with. I know Frax was huge. I'm just not like really big into Frax, but then again, it would be very contradictory for me to say that I don't necessarily believe in Frax being a peg stable, because I do believe in MIM, but that can also be because I'm very biased towards that entire ecosystem still, me being like a true believer in Abracadabra. And here's the thing, is that all these Abracadabra, Wonderland, they're different teams, but all of them got crushed because of this one scandal. So the other thing with Olympus DAO is if they were to incorporate some sort of and this is actually not even for Olympus DAO. I think the real long-term strategy here for a lot of these DAOs is you need a burn mechanism. You need a burn mechanism for your rebases. If the native token, first off, you need to stop minting the native token or bonding the native token. And you need to do what Wonderland did, which was stop the bonding of time, and then buy open market, wrap memo, but you still get rebates on the wrap memo. But here's the thing, where all these protocols are going wrong is, in my opinion, is that there's no way to stop the inflation mechanism. So there's no way to stop inflation. However, if you wanted to, let's just say you wanted to participate in the derivatives on Abracadabra to loan your wrap memo to lend your wrap memo in order to get MIM, right? If there was a gatekeeper at the door, and the gatekeeper was burning your wrap memo, burning a portion of your wrap memo in order to go ahead and be allowed to participate, then those whales that are participating in the derivatives platform, they would inherently be the ones that are getting hit the biggest, because there's no, small holders aren't going and aren't lending out there. It's the whales that are going ahead and participating in the borrowing of wrap memo. So if there was some sort of burn mechanism that happened aside from the liquidations, right? Liquidations don't even burn it. If there was some sort of burn mechanism in totality, that is a hedge against the inflation of the rebase. So, and this is interesting. Somebody that I know, I'll just come out and say it. Neo Tokyo. I don't know if you've seen that NFT from Becker. I've heard of them. So, in order to get citizens, the second round of citizens, you needed to burn the token that they created called Bytes, which inherently raised the price of Bytes because there's less Bytes in circulation to get a citizens, to be able to mint a citizens. So, and this is where being a forward thinker and a smart mind comes into play, is that if there was some way to incentivize the community to burn wrapped memo in order to obtain something that has a perceived value higher than the burning percentage that they would be required for the wrap memo, then we would see a massive movement to the upside of the underlying price of wrap memo, because obviously you burn to get whatever it is, and when you burn, it decreases the total supply, thus supply and demand. The price should inherently go up because it's not like the liquidity, you're burning the liquidity, you're essentially burning just that underlying token. So if there was some sort of burning mechanism, I think that would just be game changer. Like it'd be huge. But again, whatever that burning mechanism is, it needs to be the value, the perceived value at least needs to be there for the end user.
Yeah, a lot of the smaller cap community tokens do thrive on burning mechanisms, and a lot of them have them built into the code. Yeah. And the issue with Shiba Inu was there is no burning mechanism. But what they did, just like you said, is that for a while they were minting these NFTs called Shiboshis, and I believe that the Shiba Inu you used to swap for that was burnt and like just locked away forever. So when you create burning mechanism for a token, can you create that when the contract is renounced? Like what do you have to do in order to make that burn mechanism happen? Or how does that go?
Yeah. So, okay. When you renounce ownership, I don't necessarily think, again, I'm not a Solidity dev, and for renouncing ownership, I think if there's multiple different owners from a wallet that can call it, just because you renounce ownership doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a backdoor to allow other wallets to call that contract. So, and I think that's where a lot of these ownership renounce scams came into.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Because I'm learning Solidity right now, and there's a lot of different things that you can put in the function. And you can make any functions. It literally is called private or public, and you can make things shown to the world, or you can hide it from the world. So, again, I don't want to talk on that because I'm not 100% sure if after renouncing that it's done for good. But what I can say is that the way these shit coins all work is there is a burn functionality on a transaction, right? So whether it's a buy or a sell, there's always, well, no matter what, inherently, if there's a buy, there needs to be a sell. There's always a burn, and that's worked into it. And burn for shit coins was a buzzword.
100%.
It was just a buzzword like metaverse is, or P to E is now. So incorporating something into the contract of these DAOs, first off, it'd need to be put up to a vote if that even were a thing. But the question becomes, how do you initiate a burn without increasing the slippage through the roof? Because a lot of times the slippage on shitcoins is a lot of times it's the distribution of the money, of the gas fee, essentially. So if we're burning the tokens upon an exchange from like a DAO on the open market, in order to burn, part of the gas is going to need to go to initiating that burn in the same transaction. So essentially it would you'd have to pay more. So the slippage would need to go up. So again, theoretically, but I don't know how you can incorporate on the smart contract for any DAOs, because again, the way that DAOs work is the minting of new tokens it comes from bonding. That's the only way to mint new tokens.
Yeah.
Unless of course it's a rebase, like wrap memo where it automatically rebases. But for time, the time token itself, the only way that there's able to ever become more time was through bonding. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how exactly you can really incorporate a burn mechanism into the current smart contract, unless like you mentioned before, I think Shiba Inu, if I recall, they did the NFTs and then they burned. Which again, really smart. But here's the problem: is that the people that burn their Shiba Inu for that NFT, is the NFT, does it become illiquid at that point because nobody wants the NFT? So
after the first after the first like week or something like that.
Yeah. So that that's the question that comes up next, is what happens after that, where essentially you kind of just scammed other people for the greater good of the entire community at that point. In which case, why not just say, hey guys, we're gonna offer we're going to offer a new governance token for those that are willing to burn 100,000 Shiba Inu. You can participate, type of thing.
Crazy, man. That's insane. That's a crazy concept. And talking about, speaking of rebasing DAOs, excuse me, we just got a little leak. Apparently, maybe this executive order, staked crypto may not be taxed, even if they're rebased.
Correct.
That's interesting, right?
Yep, that came from would that come from Congress or something, or somebody said that Congress said that. Yeah, actually got that text this morning. It's interesting. But here's my take on it. At the end of whenever you do your taxes, every quarter, every end of the year, the IRS sends you a form saying, "Hey, got some crypto? Okay, how much crypto you got?" So, a lot of people can say yes or no. It almost seems like a way that the government's like, "Hey, we know you guys aren't reporting, so we're going to do something to make us look good just because we already know you're not reporting it. We just want to make it look like we're in your favor. So we're not going to tax on something that we already don't know how to tax on."
Yeah, because no centralized exchanges are doing that. I mean, some offers, yeah, they do. Like Crypto.com offers staking. But my thing is like, how the fuck are you going to tie anyone back to anything on the decentralized exchange unless you go through their Coinbase transactions or whatever and see that deposit from those? But then how do you know it's from their wallet? Why not? It could be somebody else's wallet. So how the hell do you regulate that ever?
You can't. You simply can't. Especially, there's stuff like Tornado Cash where it's literally a mixer. It's specifically designed to hide transactions. Again, a lot of times it's specifically designed for like scammers and hackers to watch their funds so they can withdraw to cash. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to be tracked and you're going onto Coinbase to withdraw your funds and your wallet has $1 billion in it, but you only want to take out 25 mil, but you damn well know that if you send the 25 mil directly from wallet A to Coinbase, they're going to report, "Hey, this user, even though he sent 25 mil, has $1 billion in this wallet. But if I have that $1 billion and I send 25 mil through Tornado Cash and only 25 mil hits Coinbase via Tornado Cash, you'll never know that I have $1 billion in my wallet, like ever."
Exactly.
So again, that's it. It almost seems as a way for them to be like, "All right, guys, look what we're doing. Like, hey, we're in your favor." But at the end of the day, people that are very well aware, you guys can't see regardless. Like, you can't subpoena me to get access to a treasure. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna come barging on my door? My treasure might be buried in my backyard. I might have lost it in a boating accident. There's no way to possibly tell. But it's a good sentiment. It's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that really irks them, that whole concept that they can't really do shit about it. Okay, so lastly, let's end on this note. NFTs. Alonso wants to know about the Monk NFT in your profile picture. What's up with that, man? Because I know it's another side of your channel. So
with Monks, this is something I found. I think it was through Next NFT Quest. And they sent an email. I saw Monks. I ended up going, and this is at the time where DAOs are like huge, right? And they came out with this concept of a boosted APY on top of a DAO. And I was like, oh, I like that. Like, I like that concept a lot. Joined the community, ended up talking to some of the admins. And now I actually am brokering out a deal with them now to do some like marketing stuff upon their launch of what they call the monastery, their DAO. And so I still have such high hopes for the monastery, and they kind of alluded to certain things such as the way they're going to do their governance staking. I have an idea of what they're going to. They obviously didn't tell me, but they have this liquid staking, which I understand what that means, especially with governance. Is that if you have like 1,000 governance tokens, you would stake them and you would get a liquid token that represents your 1,000. But here's the thing: is that if you were to stake it for, I don't even know their time frames. Let's just say for 1 day, they might only give you a 10% voting right. Like if you had 1,000 tokens, they might only give you 10% of voting capability from that 1,000 because you only lock it for 1 day. So if you go and vote with that liquid token, you can't manipulate the algorithm.
That's good.
So there's stuff like that they're incorporating. That's something that they've said publicly in their Discord. that I really like. So the fact that they're forward thinking and watching the landscaper is that it shows me, it instills a lot of confidence to me that they're not just quick to pull the trigger just to get out there. Because one of the things that I was really scared of happening was that they're just going to launch the DAO because it's a fork, right? It's like taking code A and putting it onto, platform B. It's the same code.
Yeah.
My whole thing that I was really concerned about was that it was going to be a quick launch and that they wouldn't really watch the landscape. Because if it was a really quick launch and they just got it out to get it out, it would almost seem to me as if it was like, if it was like a week after they close, it would almost feel like some sort of quick money grab type of thing, which would be like, But the fact that they're releasing really soon because they're getting all their marketing in order for the release. It's a really good sign that they didn't do that everything happened the way it's happening with Wonderland because now I feel like they can ride off of the errors of the other side than just launching to launch.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, I think that it's a learning experience for everyone in this space. And you see that what's going on, especially in our community over here in the smaller cap shitcoin land. A lot of people are just taking what they see that's going down and learning from it. And that was one of the biggest things that concerned me about governance, and any kind of DAO, because it's like, well, Big Dick Larry comes in and he owns, a shit ton, but his vote's going to hold way more weight. But if they base it on time in, well, Big Dick Larry is going to be here to stay. Correct. So I like that. Awesome
exactly.
move. Okay.
So yeah. So what they've alluded to me already is that there's going to be long lockup periods for basically a bigger percentage of a voting stake. So just because you have governance tokens doesn't mean you can directly vote with those governance tokens. You need the liquid token. The only way you can get the liquid token is if you stake your governance tokens. So your governance tokens are the ones that are liquid to sell into Ethereum because they're on ETH, right? So you can sell your governance token. However, the liquid token is not as, even though, yes, it's a liquid token, it should be liquid. There's not going to be any type of liquidity to that liquid token. It's simply going to be there essentially just to have that token in your wallet so that I guess if they've said that they're going to use Snapshot, so that Snapshot can see it's in your wallet to allow you to vote.
Okay.
So the longer you lock up your governance tokens, let's just go back to the 1,000. So you have 1,000, you lock it up for a year, you might have 75% of a vote of the 1,000. But if you lock it up for 2 years, you might have 100% of your vote, meaning you can't liquidate your governance tokens within 2 years or you lose your opportunity to vote, which means that, if you want to go ahead and participate in the vote that happens tomorrow and you have 1,000 tokens and you want to become liquid fast, you put in your 1,000 for a day and you only get a 10% voting right, rather than locking it up for 2 years and getting a 100% voting right on your 1,000. So again, it means that you're essentially in it for the long term.
Wow, awesome! I definitely like that because I think that was one of the biggest issues I thought with governance. I'm like, well, yeah, governance is kind of cool, but it's like it's the guy with the most money still. Exactly. Like, what's the difference between him and like a fucking CEO? Maybe this person's connected to them in a way, a person who wants to run it, from behind the scenes.
Right, and again, that becomes really strong again if they're doing it that way, which I do think they are after kind of going back and forth with them in DMs. The reason why I like that a lot is because a whale can buy as many governance tokens as he wants, but at the end of the day, somebody who's in it long term, the smaller fish who's in it long term that has way less governance tokens will have the equal amount of vote that a whale will have. But a whale will have it for 1 day versus like a 2-year lock. If a whale wants to have a same amount of vote as somebody who is on a 2-year lock with 1/10 of his tokens, this whale is going to have to pay 1/10 of the price. So it becomes the question of, if my vote doesn't go through and I'm a whale, I'm going to be a bag holder at that point. I become a bag holder of this governance token if the vote doesn't go in my favor. So
Yeah, and Jimmy's confused. So what we're talking about is that in some projects they have no like clear leader, no CEO, no one really making the decisions, and the community makes the decisions. And so you vote on things like propositions, but everyone has different, like the weight they hold in voting power. It depends on how much they have of the token. So if you have some guy that gets in the token maybe for a day or maybe a week who just puts in a ton of money, we don't want his vote to count more than the people who've been in the project longer. So this project makes it so, well, you can't just come in and just because you have a ton of money in it doesn't mean you're going to have more voting power than the person who's been in the project for maybe a year or 6 months with a small amount of money.
Yeah. Much. So this is a great example. So like Liquid Driver, right? So okay. Liquid Driver, if you have LQDR, the native Liquid Driver token, you can go ahead and stake X LQDR, right? So what would happen here is if you stake your LQDR, you essentially pick how long you want to lock it up for. Okay. So here's the other thing is that they'll pay you out in the token that whatever you want really. But here's the thing is that let's just say you're only in it for 1 week. I won't even give you anything. Let me go higher APR here. So you'll get, if you decide to lock yourself in for 2 weeks, you'll only get less than 1% APR in this case, right? But if you decide to go for 100 weeks, you get 41%. So yeah. So same exact game theory happens here with Monk's governance.
Wow, interesting, yep. Interesting. It's crazy. Alonso's been telling me about this shit forever, but I'm just like, I'll get to it when I get to it, But I like that because I think that one of the things we don't preach to people enough in this game is because a lot of people come in with the Shiba Inu virus, right? They see some guy get rich off $100 investment and then they want that same thing. But with that, your side, DeFi teaches you, right? What you're doing is like patience wins. Yep. Being patient and thinking long-term wins. And that I think it's like even with the traditional stock market, that strategy wins. The absurd kind of happy fun time miracle moments that are very exciting that you hear about are the ones that happen of people who gamble a couple $1,000s and come out on top. But the vast majority of people who play it that way get wrecked, and the people that play it long term end up coming out on top. So I like the fact that DAOs it rewards you for being them so long. What you're doing, I like that side of DeFi.
Yeah, I mean that's I've learned a lot in the DeFi space over the past year and a half or so. The landscape changed vastly from DeFi 1.0. DeFi summer, and man, let me tell you something. Some of the here, I'll even let me share a screen real quick. Coin market cap, like there's stuff that a lot of people don't necessarily even pay attention to. So if we go to Coin Market Cap, we go to Bunny, right? So Pancake Bunny, where is this? Pancake Bunny. Now here's the thing, ready? Pancake Bunny, Binance. Look at this. Okay, so Binance gave, where is this? Right here. So Binance gave 1.6 million to Pancake Bunny. Way back when. So let me go. I don't know why it's refreshing, but there we go. They gave 1.6 mil, even though the Pancake Bunny team is still anonymous. Obviously, getting that much of donation from Binance and other like hedge fund owners, you're gonna have to dox yourselves to them. So I mean, I don't. Again, that's speculation from me. But if I'm an owner of some sort of fund, and they're like, hey, we want to raise this much money, or I'm going to be giving you this much money, I want to know who the hell you are. So that's my 2 cents. But here's the thing: is that a lot of people don't know this. Well, they do if they click on all for the chart. There was so much bad shit happening in that time with flash loan attacks. Look at this. Ready?
Oh my God! Yeah.
Holy. So it was at one point I was at like $400 or $500 a token, right? And then literally it went to like $200. Okay, whatever. However, I got a notification on Twitter from Pancake Bunny when I was following at the time. They were like, "Oh, we're hacked. We got hacked. We got flash loan hacked. Somebody exploited the contract." I was like, "Ooh." I wasn't invested into Pancake Bunny, but let me tell you something. I bought it at $1. I bought it at $4. 3 to 5 hours later, I was able to sell it for $40. I made a pretty nice bag off of Pancake Bunny's hack. But here's what I'll tell you is that the possibility of this returning should have been a lot higher than it was. But we can take a look at another yield farm aggregator, Swampy, right? Same exact thing here is that they completely fell off.
Same thing, yeah.
So these are yield aggregators. But again, we need to look at Beefy, which is also another yield aggregator, which is second behind Yearn. So again, this has been somewhat. It's very volatile, but given the market cap and given the max supply, this is a hell of a lot nicer to see than what we just saw with Bunny and Swampy. So if we take a look at YFI, Yearn Finance, these are all yield aggregators. We could take a look at Yearn. This is during the peak bull, during a massive DeFi run. One token was 82K, and again, the total
that's what you're talking about.
Is only 36,666. But again, if we just kind of just take a look right over here, it's without this massive uptick, is that it's pretty. I'm not gonna call it stable because it's definitely not stable. But it's not exploitable as much as these other speculative farms are. So it's really understanding. It's really understanding what these farms are, and a lot of times with yield aggregators, they have their lifespan. They all have their lifespan. So I got into Swampy at like $80 and sold it at 150 or so, and that took about less than a week. But Swampy now is at like 10 cents. So again, these are super, super speculative because investors move their money around so often when it comes to yield aggregation. So it's not like they're consistently putting their money into one optimizer at all given times, except when you look at something like Yearn. And if we go to Yearn Finance, we can also take a look at some of their vaults, right? So let me just connect this. Actually, I'll click yes real quick. So let's go take a look at some of their vaults, and let's just go with USD. Let's go to USDC. On a stable coin, they have roughly 300 million in total assets, 3.21. Like that's, again, even USDT 3.13. It's still a lot, not a lot higher, but it's still higher than what you're going to be getting on like crypto.com or Coinbase, right? Where they offer like 1 or 2%. And so if you go to take a look at something like MIM is at 31% on average. And you can farm it on Phantom as well for like 35% because they offer Phantom capability. So you can go ahead and stake MIM, which is a stable, again, on the Abracadabra ecosystem for 35%. So I don't know about you, but if you have a bank that's paying 35% on a savings account, listen, hit me up. I'm all in.
Anything.
So exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, that's why staking's so powerful, man. Like even 10%,
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. What is it? Lido again? Lido Fi. If we go to Lido, right? We could see Lido even on Terra. You stake your Lido, you get 9.7 APY. Ethereum right now is at 4.6. It was at like in the teens when Ethereum opened up their POS, the proof of stake. You have Solana over here for 6.2%. You want to bet on Terra for 10% APY? Be my guest. Use something like Lido, right? So again, the different platforms that are out there, there's so many of them. But the thing about DeFi that I'm going to make so clear that I have to reinforce is that a lot of these protocols that are newer and just kind of like in experimental phase are heavily exploitable. But again, that's why stuff that's lasted long, like Yearn and Beefy, people have tried, but their team is better than those that are trying to exploit. So again, the DeFi space is probably the #1 space where hackers and exploiters will try to take advantage of, because it's as the name says, it's decentralized finance. So nobody, and I have this big narrative even on Twitter. and I'm doubling down on this, no one's going to give a shit about crypto gaming in comparison to DeFi. Like the narrative right now of all these different influencers saying crypto gaming is next. Sure, it can have its run. You can have your time in the sun, but it's going to collapse. It is going to be a massive fall. And that's if we see it. That's if we see it go as parabolic as all these influencers are pushing in their narratives. Because as far as I can tell, we're in a bear, and every influencer is saying it's going to outperform a bear market. Really? That's weird. We're currently in a bear market. Where's these where are these gaming plays that everyone's talking about? Last time I checked, with all these P2E games and all these crypto. Now, listen, crypto protocols are different where games have to be built on, right? So something like Super Farm by LEO Trades, that is going to stick around because that is needed for other games to be built on. So think of this as an example.
Or Tezos, right?
So exactly. So again, the stuff that is needed for games to actually work is going to stick around. Games themselves and gaming studios is not it. Like I see this narrative being pushed around PYR and Vulcan Forge and a bunch of different, and Monkey Ball and all these different games that I'm looking and I'm telling people, do not invest in it. Because when was the last time you picked up a controller for a PS1 and decided to play the first Call of Duty game?
Yeah.
Like, do you really think that Monkey Ball right now, as it's launching, again, I have nothing against Monkey Ball. I'm just using it as an example, right?
Right. What you fucking talk about Monkey Ball?
So yeah, listen, I don't want to get attacked. I for one watch Monkey Ball, and I think Monkey Ball is a great concept. Are we going to see Monkey Ball here in 10 years? It's not an NFL where Madden can constantly keep cranking out games, where FIFA can keep cranking out games, NHL can keep cranking out games. You have to understand how gaming works is that there's a constant new game on the horizon. That's the it game for about half a year to a year, then it's on to the next, right? Fortnite is not the Fortnite we knew when it was in its hype.
Warzone,
like any game, World of Warcraft, RuneScape, they all have their time in the sun. And here's the problem with this is that crypto investors, everybody, like even retail investors, have this narrative of hold and you'll be good, right? Hold a damn gaming coin, you are going to get burned. You are going to get absolutely destroyed.
That's an interesting perspective on this channel because that is pushed so much. Every shitcoin that's created is play to earn. And how are you going to be unique? Interesting. That's very, very interesting. And my thing is like, because Axie Infinity is the game, right? Is the game. Even they are having a real tough time right now with them smooth love potions, whatever it is. I tried to get an Axie Infinity for a little bit, and to me, it's not engaging enough. I bought the Axies and everything to try to stream it, and it's just no one cares about it. And to me, it just personally wasn't that fun.
Right?
How do you compete? Because you're competing with actual games, even if they're play to earn. That incentive, like, hey, we'll give you a couple cents to play an hour. How can you be better than the actual games?
Exactly. And what was it? Ubisoft?
Yeah, they partnered with Tezos.
Yeah. So this should have been the catalyst for everybody in the space watch. So here's the thing. Ubisoft partnered with Tezos, right? And this goes back to what I said. Ubisoft needs Tezos. Tezos doesn't need Ubisoft. Tezos is going to thrive regardless because other projects will be built on Tezos, but Ubisoft needs a layer one to actually go ahead and build stuff off of, right? If they're going to participate in the NFT space. Did you see how the community reacted to Ubisoft putting out the NFTs in their games?
I didn't, but I didn't see anything good.
It was the most negative backlash I've ever seen through the entire community. Wow. When they released their NFTs in game, people were like, "What the hell is this?" Like nobody wanted a part of it. Nobody wanted a part of it.
Well, what's the difference between a skin you can just buy like regularly and then an NFT?
How it transacts.
That's it, right?
That's it. Literally. You can buy it with a credit card or you can buy it on chain where the gas fee is probably higher than what you'd be paying for the skin anyway, depending on the chain that you're using.
That's what I thought the dilemma was, because there's skins in those sorts of things, and that is a highlight to talk about. But my thing, I'm just like, well, don't they already do that shit? But like, you can just buy it with a credit card, you know?
Yeah.
It's
No,
like
literally.
it's like cryptocurrency saying they're going to change the medical field by using blockchain technology to do shit that's already pretty efficient. Like there's this one token right now that's trying to come into this cryptocurrency space, who's like trying to like make transactions faster and make it so you can look up healthcare facilities that are in your area and that want to help with medical billing. It's like there are things that do that are just fine, that are not run on the blockchain. Not everything needs to be on the blockchain.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some project, like for example, I have this. It's called Protocol, right? It's UPI is the ticker, and they what they do is it's for dogs, a dog tag, right? But here's the thing: is that if you have, if you have an animal and you travel state to state or around the country, whatever it is, and you bring your animal with you, traditionally speaking, the vets have to call another vet to confirm and fax over a bunch of information regarding your animal. However, if your animal also gets lost, again, they have their little dog tag or a tag on them that, has a phone number and whatnot. However, I really like the concept of being able to scan something, go wherever you want, and all the medical documents are only accessible based off of that scan for that animal. So if you're in like Jersey, New York, right, and then you go to California, if your dog has a medical emergency or animal has a medical emergency, and the vet on the other side of the country isn't available to send over all the proper documents, then you're kind of screwed there. However, something like this, I do believe that there's room for improvement in certain industries. The medical industry has got this shit on lock, man. I mean, but vets are still operating in the whole, hey, let me fax over this information to another vet type of thing. So
yeah. HIPAA gets in the way of a lot of sharing medical information. HIPAA, you don't fuck around with that compliance. So you really have to follow all kinds of crazy steps. And I think the blockchain, it's a good idea, but I think with all those regulations and rules, it's going to be hard to get information from one place to another without it just getting hacked or something. But that's great. That's a fantastic. I just took my fucking cat to the vet like 3 weeks ago because he was fine, but my wife started to freak out when he was puking. I had to get like shot records. I'm fucking scrambling. I had to call the clinic to get, it was just a pain in the ass. It had to cost a fortune. But that's a fucking, what is it called? What was the ticker for that? It's called
a protocol. Like the ticker's UPI. So
and you get like shot records and shit on that too?
You get anything. All the records for your animal goes on chain, accessible, and it's kind of an iPhone app. It's only accessible to like you or whoever you give access capabilities to.
What?
So again, it's so smart. By a simple QR scan, all the medical records for your animal is there as needed. That's smart. In my opinion, that's really smart.
Protocol. Yep. I see what they did there. There it is. Yep. I mean, it's looking kind of crazy, but this is a fantastic idea.
Great idea. So I'm in it for the long term as well. I have a big bag in protocol. Just because, again, I know the problem firsthand. I'm always moving. Every year I move to a different location. I know how difficult it is going to a vet with my 2 dogs and then having them wait, hey, let me call the other vet. And then if that vet doesn't have it, then they call another one because I'm always moving and there's different vets. So I have to play a big guessing game of one vet to the next. And, 45 minutes later, they're still waiting for all the documentation. I'm like, all right, there's got to be an easier way for me to do this rather than bringing around a manila folder everywhere I go just to have all these documents in it. So there's stuff like that I'm always looking out for. And specifically because I love animals and that I know this problem firsthand. So I'm like, this has potential. If it's not them, it'll be somebody else.
Absolutely. Well, god damn. Well, dude, fucking sweet show, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Dude, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate the work you do. And dude, your channel is going to fucking stupidly moon this year.
Thank you. Yeah, let's do something together with my audience as well. I want to start up a little podcast and just have people that are just on the same wavelength and whatnot and know what they're talking about and all that. So let's definitely do something together. And thanks for having me on. It means a lot that you reached out as well.
Absolutely, man. I think this is good because a lot of people that watch me, I think, are really new to crypto because community tokens, I think, is a gateway. Smaller cap community tokens is a gateway. And I'm trying to learn things as I go too. So having you on here is good because we're educating our audience as well. you know, and we'll bring the degenerates over there. We mob, baby. I got a good core set of people here. They're killing it. So if you ever want to hop in the Discord, check it out, all that good stuff. But you let me know the time and date, and we will make time to be there, bro.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. So everyone, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dan, for being here. If you want to check out Dan's channel, links to his Twitter and his Hidden Gem Network YouTube channel are in the description down below. Make sure to like the stream on your way out. And don't forget, memberships are live. We got a ton of memberships today. If you guys want to become a member to the channel. Again, Dan, thank you so much, bro.
It's a pleasure. Have a great one, guys.
Yeah, brother.
See ya.